Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my channel if you're new. If you are new here and you have no idea who the heck I am, my name's Latasha and I'm a full-time freelancer. I focus mostly on social media marketing and video marketing strategy and post-production. And today I'm doing a social media, freelancing, etc. Q&A. So I asked you guys to ask me questions two places. I asked you on the YouTube community tab, and I also asked on my Instagram stories, and I actually got a ton of questions this time. It's always kind of hit or miss how many questions I get, and I got a lot this time. So what I decided to do is I'm going to actually split this Q&A into two. So I'm going to answer all of the YouTube questions here in this YouTube video, and I'm going to do a podcast episode answering all of the Instagram story questions. So look out for that this coming Friday. My show releases every single Friday. It's called the Freelance Friday Podcast. I'm gonna leave a link for it down below. And yeah, definitely go ahead and check that out if you wanna check out part 2. First question, how can an aspiring social media manager make their own social media look appealing to employers? I think this is a really great question. I actually just retweeted something the other day about how social media managers, our own social media accounts are our best resumes or something like that. And what I said, the commentary I added to it was whether we like it or not, because listen, I don't always want that to represent me necessarily. Sometimes I just want to be like a normal person, I just want to have my own little Twitter thoughts or whatever. But if you're applying for social media manager roles, they're definitely going to be looking at your social media profile. So, I think it's important to be yourself. I do. I get asked all the time, like, should I post about, my personal viewpoints on things, politics or religion or whatever it is. And my personal thought is I do in a respectful way. I would never be disrespectful and, completely trash any person or type of people, obviously. At the end of the day, I don't want to work with somebody who doesn't want me to have my own voice or doesn't respect my own personal views. So I think that you can post, whatever you want, but just do it in a respectful way. That's just sort of the personal side of things. Now, if you really want to cultivate a digital resume, essentially, I think it's important to show what you know. I try to post a lot of videos on my social channels, obviously on YouTube, but I try to do it on like Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube as well, or Instagram as well. Not as much as I should, but that's pretty much the number one service that I want people to know that I offer. And I want people to know that I can go on camera, I know how to edit, I know how to do things like that. And I want to showcase that skill, and I want to showcase how you can build a business based off of mostly a video strategy. So show what you know. And I think those are kind of the biggest things that I keep in mind. Now, I don't look for employers per se, but I do want to appeal to clients. So I also think just being responsive to people as well, and really talking to people. I love just talking to random people on LinkedIn and commenting on random posts on LinkedIn and things like that. Shows that you care about the industry, that you are responsive. So if they do want to reach out to you, they might actually have a shot of reaching you and things like that. If you are a freelancer for social media advertisement for local businesses, do you charge them for any software you use, like ClickFunnels or other software, or do you pay for it yourself? What kinds of software do you use in your businesses? I use a lot, so I'm not going to go through an entire list of all the software that I use. Real quick though, Loomly is my social media management tool of choice. I'll leave these links down below if I have tutorials on anything. I do use MailerLite for emails. I have used ClickFunnels in the past. Yeah, I use a lot of kind of random things, video editing software like Final Cut. But to answer the main question, I typically, unless I am buying a service just for one client, so if one specific client is like, we need this specific service, we need to use this type of thing, either I will ask them to pay for the cost, or I will add that on to our monthly service fee. Typically, if they really need us to use some specific tool, I'm going to ask them to just pay for it. I had a client, I did some video work for them, and they wanted this, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like a training software kind of thing. And I just said, hey, yeah, you just pay for the training software, give me access to it, and then I'll do it. For other tools like Loomly, for example, which I can add different users and different accounts onto my main account, I just pay for that. That's just, an expense, the cost of doing business. And I take that into account when I'm pricing out my packages. So I'm not ever going to charge a package lower than, however much the cost of Loomly is every month. They're going to at least be paying for their seat, if you know what I mean, but it's just rolled into the pricing that I offer them. I hope that makes sense. So always keep that in mind, what your cost of doing business is, and roll that into your rate that you ask for. But yeah, I just pay for that myself. Hi, Latasha. My question is, what exactly should a welcome kit consist of? I actually just redid mine recently and still don't feel like it's perfect. I still have some work to do on it, but just a couple of things that I have in there. Hours, working hours, when you can reach me and how to reach me. I think that's really important because sometimes, different time zones, or people just don't realize, oh, she doesn't work until 9 p.m. I shouldn't be asking for something to be done by 8 a.m. tomorrow at 9 p.m. tonight, kind of walking through those working hours and also turnaround times and just like all of those policies, if you will. I also recap some of the contract. So I'll kind of just recap any important parts like usage rights, or again, sometimes like turnaround time, deliverable details, things like that. I also include a document where they can add their passwords or get information on how to add me as an admin to their accounts. So, Facebook, you have to add somebody as an admin, whereas Instagram, I just need the login. So I have a document outlining all those processes and gives them a place to put in their passwords. What else do I have in there? Oh, I have a survey as well that really just kind of takes a deep dive into what are your major goals with marketing? What are you doing now? I just ask a ton of questions. I think I shared the actual survey in my first course. That's always linked down below, but it's just a how to become a social media manager course. And I'm pretty sure I shared the exact form, or at least a screenshot of it in that course. How did you obtain your first couple clients? So I got them on Upwork. It was Elance at the time, and I didn't even really realize what Elance was. I was just looking for like part-time jobs. I was looking to get a second job when I was in college, and I ran across a blog writing gig. I think I actually found it on LinkedIn, and they asked me to apply on Upwork, if I'm remembering correctly. And yeah, that's how I got it. I got my first client. And then I also got a couple of video clients just from friends. Friends knew that I was studying video in college, and they had some friends who needed some like video work done for a book that they were releasing and things like that. And that's kind of how it worked. So over time, I just took those really small contracts because those two things were both very, very small, and just continued to get reviews from those people, build relationships with those people, and they turned into bigger things. And here I am today. Do I have to have a huge social media following to be a social media strategist or manager? I've always done social media as part of my day job, but don't have huge numbers to show for it. No, you don't. I don't believe you do. And once you kind of get into this industry a little bit further, I think you'll probably see that a lot of people are in your same boat. It's unfortunate, and I'm really trying to force myself to get out of this, but I'm always my last priority, which I really need to be treating myself like my number one client. But I'm pretty bad at it, honestly. It's taken me a really long time to get this far, if you will. So no, you don't. But I will say this. I don't think the number of followers matters so much. Now, obviously, if you have like 5 followers or something, that's going to look a little bit questionable, because can you really do what you say you're going to do if you only have 5 followers? But I think quality of followers is important. If you have all bots, or if you have all just friends from your hometown, friends from high school following you. I mean, I guess if it's a personal page, that's different. But let's say that you have like an agency that you're trying to brand, and only your friends and your family are following it. That doesn't look very good, because you're not attracting any type of ideal clients, and you can't really build a case study off of that. You can't tell a client, yeah, I only have 50 followers, but they're all warm leads. They're all in my target market, etc. So quality of followers matters. And I also think, how you're presenting yourself matters. So kind of similar to the first question, again, if this is an agency account, if you have beautifully designed graphics or pictures of the team or pictures of your city or whatever it is, and everything looks really polished and put together, things are spelled correctly, things are spaced correctly, videos are optimized for each social channel. I don't care if you have 5 followers or not. I can tell you know what you're doing. But if you're just like pasting things, together, just slapping things together, trying to get something out there, it's going to look bad. I mean, I've seen a lot of people struggle, and I'm like, well, you misspell things everywhere on your own page. Why would I trust you to write my Instagram captions if all of your own are misspelled? Little things like that. So no, I don't think that matters. Of course it helps. Like, you should be trying to build something of a following, but I'm not saying you need to have 10,000 followers. I'm saying cultivate a community, and I think that's more important. How do you end contracts? Do you give them the photos or do you keep them? Are clients still allowed to use them once you guys have separated? Once you're separated, is it okay for clients to keep posting and keep your strategy, like do the exact same things you're doing? Or do you clean out their accounts if you no longer work together? Ooh, such a juicy question. I've actually recently, never mind, I'm not even gonna say any tea. I'm not gonna say any tea. Nope. Yes, I have experienced these things, let's just say. It's kind of weird when you see somebody basically just like reusing your social posts, but if it wasn't in your contract, they're allowed to do that. So I would talk to a lawyer or look on, some of the legal websites. There are a ton of contract templates and things floating around on the internet from people who know what they're talking about in terms of law. So definitely check those out. And there is a usage rights clause basically that you can add into your contracts that basically says, can you use this content after we're done? Can you not? And that can be applied to written or visual content as far as I know. So typically, like if a client is hiring me to produce a video for them, for example, that's theirs. And I have a clause in my contract that says I'm allowed to use it for my portfolio. So that way I can show the work that I've done, but it's theirs. They own it. They can do whatever they want with it afterwards, typically. And that warrants a higher rate, right? So yeah, that depends. Now, for a lot of my clients, I also just do like stock photos, or they supply the content. So I don't have that same clause. If I'm just using stock photos, those aren't mine. They're free for anyone to use. But when it comes to words and like actually reusing your post, you have to determine whether or not you allowed them to do that. I have never really had in my contract that they can't do that. I do think it's a little odd when to copy and paste old words that you've already used, because the social channels don't particularly love that, particularly Twitter doesn't like repeat posts. So you can educate them on why they shouldn't do that, but I've never found that, I don't know. I've never found it really necessary to put that in there personally. I definitely wouldn't clean out their accounts though. Let me just say that. I don't think you should go backwards. Like if you stop working together, you shouldn't go backwards and delete everything that you've done. Definitely wouldn't do that. Again, talk to a lawyer or something, look at how your contracts are set up, look at whatever, talk to them about this. But typically that clause, if I say I have ownership of any content, I'm not going to clean out what I've already done. It's kind of just like from here on out, you can't use those photos anymore. But if they've already been posted, I think it's pretty fair game that they stay up. How do you know as a solopreneur, seeing one-on-one clients but trying to scale to more passive income, that it's time to hire a social media marketer? Ooh, that's a good question. So it's hard to say, obviously, without knowing exactly what you do and where you're at with your business. But I would say if you are showing growth organically, meaning let's say that you're a coach and you've already sold some coaching packages, you've already seen success, you know that there's a market for what you're doing, and you're just ready to amplify what you're doing. That's probably a good sign that you're ready for a social media marketer. Or, if you have a t-shirt line and people love your t-shirts, you're getting really good feedback, you've already done research to kind of figure out what markets you want to go after and what your price points should be and all that stuff. You've sold a couple in your hometown or whatever, but you're looking to launch it globally or nationally. Probably a good time to hire a social media marketer. So typically I would say, whenever you've seen a little bit of success already with your business, but you're really just looking to amplify it essentially, because what social media marketing can help you do is reach your target clients. It can help you broaden your reach so it gets the word out further. But it's also hard to just like rely on only social media, because I can't market a bad product, right? If your t-shirt is terrible and ugly and it fits poorly and it's too expensive, you can throw all the money you want at social ads or, creative to try to sell it, and maybe we can have a little bit of movement, but it's not going to fix your bad product. So work on your product or service first, get a website, figured out. And then I think it's typically, generally speaking, a pretty good time to start thinking about a social media marketer. And if anybody is watching these videos and is curious about hiring a social media marketer, I never really advertise this in my videos, but you can get a free discovery call with me and my company. You can go to jamesandpark.com/discovery if you're looking to hire somebody for your social. If you're looking to hire somebody to help you become a social media manager, you can also get a free discovery call with me. Just fill out the form at latashjames.com/coaching. All right. A little soft plug. I liked that. What do you use to record remote podcast interviews? Skype, Google, thanks. I feel like I did a video on this, but maybe not. Zoom, and you can record 2 separate audio tracks so that you guys aren't talking over each other. It's a lot easier to edit that way. If I have a resource, I'll link it down below. I swear I mentioned it somewhere, but maybe I didn't. Hey, so I've worked on a lot of projects with big and small clients that have had a lot of success with campaigns and post reach. I'm wondering how to put this info into a portfolio though, because generally clients, especially big ones, may not be happy, but releasing specific data like budget, process, etc. How do you suggest getting those successes down in a portfolio without stepping on client discrepancy too much? This is a great question. I feel like I need to do a video on this because I get so many questions on it, or make a resource or something. Okay, so yes, again, in your contracts, I have a clause in there that says I can use stuff for my portfolio. So they're signing off. Now, obviously I'm still like careful about what I'm using. I'm not gonna, like you said, give away like trade secrets or whatever. But I can say, if I grew a client's pages by 100,000 followers or 100% or 5, whatever it is, I can include those stats and I can include their names and stuff. For clients who either they didn't sign off on that or they don't want to be included, or I also use it for like past jobs because that's a different thing and I don't really know how that works. I would say, I worked at a retailer, a mid-sized global retailer or something like that, and just take out their logo and then add those stats in there. So it kind of anonymizes it. Or you can also just use more general stats that wouldn't be so controversial, I guess. You can just talk about follower growth and things that are available externally. I think that's pretty fair game. If you can figure out follower count or engagement rate, or just share some examples of content that you've created, if they're publicly available on their Instagram account now, that's generally speaking fair game. But again, look at what your contract says first. How do you communicate with your clients when they desperately want to be on a social media platform that's really not suited for their goals, even though you've already explained why another platform is better for them? Especially if they say, Instagram's in, Facebook's out. Oh yeah, this one is tough. So number one, data is everything. So show data, don't just say I feel this way, give them real reasons. So that's number one. Number two, sometimes if they are like adamant about it, they're like, we are doing TikTok, we're doing it, do it, test it and see how it goes. And that's how I always frame it. I say, you know what, I don't think we should put all of our eggs in this basket. Data shows that LinkedIn is a better platform for this goal. However, we can test it. I'm happy to run a week-long, month-long, whatever it is, test and compare the 2 platforms against each other. Track everything. So if you're, I don't know how TikTok works, to be honest. I'm behind on that. I need to get on that. But, track your links, track your views, track your clicks, track your followers, all that stuff. Track every single detail. And then present it to them and say, hey, we got like 0 movement from TikTok, but we got 20,000 clicks over to our website on LinkedIn. Let's pull the lever on that and move forward. So yeah, that's kind of how I do it. And, they say customers always right, clients always right. I think sometimes you just kind of have to and who knows, sometimes you might be surprised too. Sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not where they should be. And sometimes they know their audience better than I do, and it's like, oh, I'm actually surprised we did see movement on this platform. So testing is never a bad thing. Is it okay to change your offerings as you go along? When should you start charging for your work after you've done a few projects for free? I can't talk, to gain experience. Yeah, you can definitely change your offerings as you go along. I mean, I've evolved so much. I used to just do organic social media. Actually, even before that, I did blogging and freelance writing. Then I did organic social media. Now I do paid stuff sometimes for higher budgets for paid. And then I also do a lot of content creation. That's really the majority of my business now, is I'm doing a lot of video work and, taking photos and really content heavy stuff as opposed to more writing heavy, copywriting. So yeah, and that's just evolved over time. And then of course I have this side of my business where I educate other freelancers and I coach them and I do courses and things like that. So you can definitely change things. I say, as long as you're not changing it like every day and people are confused, then yeah, definitely. I say you should start charging after you have a handful of case studies, examples, testimonials, maybe 2, 3. And it's hard to say again, because you could have 2 that are like bad examples, like you didn't really see much movement, they didn't really give you very many nice testimonials, whereas you could have 1 amazing case study that was like incredible, and that's good enough. So really depends on the quality and things like that, but I would say just make sure that you have a couple, and even for those like second and third ones, you can charge for them. Maybe you're still charging a little bit less than what you would charge normally, but you can still charge for them, I would say. And I think this is the last question I'm going to answer because my voice is seriously going out. How long did it take to fully transition from your previous job to working fully for yourself? I was at my last position for about 3 years, and I'd worked another full-time marketing job for a year before that. So about 4 years after, that's after graduation. Keep in mind, I was freelancing when I was in college as well. So I've really been freelancing for 5 or 6 years in some capacity before I went full time, but it doesn't have to take that long, or it can take longer. I'm really a big believer of doing things at your own pace. I think I really could have done it a couple years earlier, to be honest with you, but I'm just like a planner and I freak out about things, and I wanted to make sure that I had a good little nest egg before I left. So I waited a little bit longer, but it definitely doesn't have to take that long. I also took breaks. Like when I was at my full-time job, I wasn't working consistently on my business. Sometimes I'd be like, you know what, I don't want to take any clients this month. I'm overwhelmed with work, or I want to travel or whatever. So it can be shorter, it can be longer. It's totally up to you. Thank you so much for watching again. Check out part 2 to this Q&A over on my podcast. It'll be out this Friday, Freelance Friday podcast. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave me a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel if you enjoyed it, and I will see you very soon for a new video. Bye.